Who is at fault when a car suddenly turns right from the left-hand lane on a dual carriageway? Obviously, you'd be saying it's the car that's turning right from the left-hand lane. However, the keyboard hindsight patrol would have you believe that the camera car is actually the vehicle that is responsible. Before we get into it though, if you enjoy my liability reviews, do make sure to drop a follow. So we have the camera car gaining on the vehicles in lane 1 when all of a sudden they start gaining a lot faster than they were. The lead vehicle in lane 1 suddenly turns right across the path of the camera vehicle, which results in the collision. For who is responsible, we look at the action which resulted in the collision, and this was the car that was in lane 1 turning across the path of an established and correctly proceeding vehicle which was in lane 2, which resulted in the collision. As that manoeuvre is the proximate cause of the collision, that is where liability will rest. A lot of people are saying that if they were driving the camera vehicle, they would be able to avoid the collision. And this is typical of people who watch dashcam footage without looking at it objectively. The reason that they think they could avoid it is because they are watching footage which already has a collision in, which means they have the hindsight that the driver didn't at the time. From the moment we see the leading vehicle turn right to impact is 1.3 seconds. The vehicles in lane 1 had started slowing not long before that, a couple of seconds earlier. Perception response time is how you measure how a driver reacts to something in an unexpected situation. Perception response time, on average, is between 2 and 3 seconds. Collision investigators will use a ballpark figure of around 2.5 seconds. As a rule of thumb, it's usually 1 second to acknowledge that something is happening, another second to implement avoiding action, for instance stepping on the brake, and then you've got the time on top of that it takes to slow the vehicle to 0. It's also worth noting that this is a wide-angle dashcam that has been cropped magnificently into a vertical format, which is going to make it look slower than it actually is. Either way, none of these things change the liability. The car in lane 1 is wholly responsible for the collision for turning right from the left-hand lane. Lovely jubbly, sound as a pound. The perception response time is between 2 and